Hello everyone and welcome to another Security Professionals training session. My name is Tony Ridley. I'm a security professional. I've been working in the industry for government, corporate and commercial for the last over 20 years, and in particular in travel safety, intelligence operations consulting, and also with online marketing and social media in the last few years as well. In this particular session I'm going to be covering off on business blogging, particularly for crisis and emergency communications. Increasingly it's becoming apparent that all companies of all sizes can make a mass or select communication platforms in minutes if they need to, particularly when we're talking about crisis, emergency, priority communications. Whilst they are able to do it, a lot of companies often don't know how to, or simply don't know how accessible or easy it is to set up in the first instance. So I'm going to cover off on a number of processes and the ability to how to create one very quickly, often for free, or for those that want to go a little further and create their own corporate and secured blog environment. So first of all, it's simply the same as, if not identical to, creating or harnessing your own news channel, selecting specifically what it is you want to communicate, how you want to communicate to, and either broadcasting or narrowcasting to a particular audience. The difference being is that broadcasting goes to everyone, narrowcasting is a specific demographic of either your choosing or on a particular subject. In the first example we have the Norway tragedy, in which the individual attacked and wounded and killed a number of individuals. In this instance, from news.com.au, we can see here that there's a chronological sequence of events. There's a combination of video, there's timestamps, there's images, and basically a rolling commentary in terms of everything that took place. Now, companies and organisations can do exactly the same process themselves. They don't necessarily have to rely on the news service, or they can filter and edit and include everything else that they wish to or choose to include on that particular topic. Additionally, we have instances, for example, the UK riots. Again, we have an example here from Sky News, where again they've included video, they've addition to updates and running commentaries, almost blow-by-blow descriptions, passing on the news, locations, events and any particular updates. Again, this is accessible and easily replicated by businesses if and how they choose to. And lastly, we can see here in Channel 4 News we've got the live blog from the Japan tsunami. Again, a combination of all of the previously mentioned elements. In this instance, they were able to combine both text, streaming videos, as well as a combination of updated hyperlinks as well, any images, any commentary, media, audio, all of those sorts of things that were relevant in terms of what was happening at the time, and any subsequent follow-ups that they chose that were important through this particular channel. So essentially, organisations, no matter how big or small, have the opportunity to aggregate all of this information, pick the best or most relevant pieces of information and communicate it to their specific audience in a manner of their choosing. And I'll go into the options available, but essentially we're focusing primarily here on blogs. Now, we really are spoilt by choice. This gives a Communication Prism overview of social media. This is a combination of all of the tools and platforms and availability of how organisations can tap into both social media and the opportunity to distribute content of their select choosing to their particular audience. And as you can see, it's quite overwhelming, but like any toolkit, there's some tools that are more appropriate for specific tasks. And now we're going to talk about and touch on specifically those ones that are relevant for essentially blogging and sharing of information. So typically when we talk about the communication spectrum, as we start to have an evolving crisis or emergency situation, we have a combination of those that have important information to share, we have those that require that information, and then there are those who are left to spectate and oversee or manage the events, and many of them feel helpless as the crisis or emergency starts to unfold, and they can observe all of those elements, and again they can't push or receive information relevant to all of those affected parties. If this goes unchecked, this situation can quickly spiral out of control. Not only does the velocity of information increase, but also the affected parties start to spin in separate directions, and there's a complete lack of cohesion or lack of unified message and coordination. So once again, it gives an opportunity for organisations to centralise this process and bring all of the information, distribute all of the information, and manage all of the information on a central platform. Now, one of the most effective, but certainly not the only means of doing this, is blogging. And blogging, or web blogging in particular, is an extremely effective tool, but one of the most underutilized formats of most corporate environments. The larger the corporations, the more reticent, reluctant, more bureaucracy, the more processes they have in place as to why they can't and shouldn't communicate in real time. But the reality is that increasingly, if you don't, you're simply leaving yourself to unnecessary vulnerabilities, or you're creating an environment which is likely to impact you more negatively than it is positively. In particular, I'll talk about some immediate solutions in terms of aggregation of content, utilization of the cloud, and using multi-channel distributions. That is, being able to communicate and distribute your message to multiple platforms and multiple demographics. So one of the first ones that we come to in the first and free options is Blogger. Blogger is particularly effective. This is owned and operated by Google. It's a great opportunity to centralize a theme and message, very, very easy to use, and you can add pretty much any type of content to it. It's a bit harder to regulate or make it private, but the key and gateway to this is a Gmail account. So first of all, you need to open or have an available Gmail account. Very quick, very easy, fast and simple, and you can distribute the contents or the link to that particular blog on a priority basis through your normal channels, whether it be SMS or email, so people can come in on that particular channel. Next, we have Tumblr. Tumblr is also another great platform, and I use all of these platforms for various processes. And in particular, Tumblr offers you a little bit more degree in terms of privacy and coordination, where you can choose selective channels and contents to distribute. You also have the ability to add comments and have running commentary should a particular issue or a particular post stimulate conversation, question, or requires specific follow-up. Once again, very simple, very easy. Posterous, whilst it often doesn't fall into the category of blogs, it's a fantastic tool, I find, of distributing priority news with a quick ability to capture pretty much anything that you find on the web, any live content, any content that you may generate yourself. You can simply use Posterous as a means of an aggregated distribution channel for all of those people that you have specific approval to view, or for those if you want to take a more wider view and broadcast to all and sundry. Next, we have LiveJournal. Again, we're starting to get a little bit more complicated to use, a little bit more esoteric in terms of the types of users or professional bloggers that use this. But once again, I've used it. I find it quite suitable and quite functional for those that want to set up something quick and fast and aggregate a lot of content. Typepad, again, one of the up-and-comings, increasingly becoming quite popular for those that want to have a more stylized or specific distribution channel. Once again, very simple, very easy, free, fast, and efficient for most rudimentary and certainly some of the more moderate requirement when it comes to blogging. Evernote is a fantastic tool. Whilst it doesn't fall into the blog category, you can pretty much aggregate anything. Everything from video to notes to images to emails, pretty much anything you may have, internal or external. It's fantastic to be able to drag and drop and have this virtual thumb drive or this virtual drive that very quickly you can distribute to a small or large audience, so they can have access to not only the current content but any updated content in a push and pull process. Fantastic tool. I use it for a lot of things, but it can also come in very handy for blogging. YouTube. Now, YouTube shouldn't be overlooked. Again, most people may be thinking, what has this got to do with blogging? But essentially, video content creation is fantastic. It's simple, it's easy to use, and anyone can get access to it. Well, in most countries, you can get access to it, but it's very easy to create video and audio files, upload, and then share or embed that particular link into your postings. Again, vitally important when you've got a succinct message or you've got a particular degree of emotion that you want to communicate, because we all know how emails and written content can sometimes have that degree of sterility or separation from the original intent or message. So it's great for creating video content. Even if you're just using a webcam, your own iPhone, it's great for individuals to upload or also for groups to distribute. Now, you can protect the content. You can have discrete links, or you can embed processes that only those people that you share the links with can view that particular content. Most people don't realize that, or they don't use it efficiently. Ideal for a lot of corporate blogging scenarios where you don't want that message or that information necessarily spread across a wide footprint. Now this is the king of all, WordPress. I own and operate over 50, 60 odd websites at the moment, and the majority of them are set up on WordPress. WordPress is fantastic. It's extremely easy to use. You can go to wordpress.org and you can set up your own free account. You can play around with it. Anybody that can use and operate Outlook or Microsoft Word or any of those similar Open Office and so on, then this really is quite simple. It's a WYSIWYG format. What you see is what you get. Very simple to set up, very easy to implement. Even if you host it on your own domain, even if you install it on your own URL or your own footprint, I run most of my sites and processes off WordPress. So what we'll do now is we'll dive in and we'll have a look specifically what and how we operate this particular platform. WordPress, as I said, is very versatile, but it can be a little bit intimidating or overwhelming, so I'll show you a specific example. Okay, so we have an example here of one of the websites that we operate and we run. There's quite a lot of content that you can aggregate, you can separate, you can have sub-menus, drop-downs. Again, you can distribute and protect all of this information. In this particular instance, we have a controlled access level where organizations or individuals can log in. Obviously I'm logged in as administrator, and you can basically create, delete, monitor, control any and all of the content in which you so choose. You can have anything from videos to images to written content. So now we'll look behind the scenes and have a look at what the interface actually looks like. So here we have an example of the interface. Very, very simple. This is essentially the dashboard, the easy dashboard. So if you are adding a new post of any content or a page, it's much the same. These are the particular formats in which you would use. So everything from the size of the format, the bullet points, hyperlinks, any other particular processes that you want to install, from WordPress, from your clipboard. Also, if you want to add images or any other type of media, you simply click on these particular options. Alternatively, and this is in a what you see, what you get, you can go to HTML, which is a more code-based format, and you can embed or install various pieces of code that you could extract from other websites or other relevant content. So for example, if we go to YouTube, and we look at YouTube and we take a video, here's one of the videos that I've made previously. So in this instance, all we need to do is we go to our share, we scroll down and we look at the embedded. In this particular instance, it will then spit out a piece of embedded code, and that embedded code we simply cut and paste, or in this instance we can take the HTML link and we go back to our site. We can go back to visual and we can say YouTube video of importance. We then hyperlink that, click on our link, embed our code, title, we leave it as it is, open a new window, add link, and it's completed. So we could have this is a test run, add any content, we can add images, we can do anything essentially that we would like to do in this particular instance, and the whole thing will then go live. If we go back to our site, and from here we would then be able to see a chronological sequence of events of a number of things that were occurring. They may be happening in real time, they may be videos, they may be updates, they may be images, and we can create a whole array of display. We can even chase them down or research them by hyperlinks, and bookmarks and tags and all of those things that a blog enables you to do, or we can file them away. This could be our central one, and for each and every emergency and crisis we simply revert to this particular platform. Very easy, very simple, very effective, and extremely underutilized by corporates of all shapes and sizes. Very simple, very efficient, and I highly recommend WordPress for pretty much any and all blog formats, particularly if you want to secure it, particularly if you want to embed a degree of privacy. WordPress has thousands and thousands of embedded plugins. Plugins are additions in which you can lock it down, you can stylize it, you can create different formats, and a whole host of other things that you can add in WordPress, which are free or easy and readily available, rather than trying to design and create the whole process yourself. Now, once you've created your own blog, that's only part of the challenge, because blogs, again, depending on the types of smartphones and the distribution processes, one of the first things you need to do is to set up an RSS feed, a really simple syndication. If you create an RSS feed, every time that blog is updated, it can be pushed out to individuals, those that are using aggregated readers, and Google Reader is one of the best and most effective, and you've got a whole host of other available options, either free or application based, and RSS feeds are great and fantastic to use in conjunction with blogs. In addition to blogs, you can also utilize things like Twitter. Depending on your distribution channel, you can both protect your tweets as well as provide both images and content and video and references all through Twitter. Again, in conjunction and using all of these tools effectively, not only can you create that platform, but you can distribute it to quite a wide audience. So essentially, you're creating a real-time reporting situation for people who may be travelers, for those who are out of the office, for those who are simply on the go, because the reality is that most people are mobile. So there's also just too much information. What we're trying to do here is to streamline and aggregate it. So for those people who are charged with the responsibility of either collecting or disseminating the information, they're the ones responsible and in charge of collecting and disseminating these processes. Again, there's a number of simple tools and processes which we won't go into too much detail here, but essentially you can rationalize that so individuals and affected stakeholders aren't scouring the internet Googling for key information, when you can create that channel and distribute it in accordance with your objectives and also to your key stakeholders. As I said earlier, people are mobile, whether they're in the office or whether they're traveling or they're commuting. People are on the go and they always carry phones with them. It's almost hard pressed to find anyone without a mobile phone, given that there's nearly 5 billion mobile phones in the world at the moment that are being utilized. They're all linked into networks of some degree. Depending on where you are in the world and the strength and veracity of the networks, whether it's 3G or GSM and a whole bunch of other things, these networks can all be utilized and exploited for the distribution and sharing of content, both inbound as well as outbound. And in particular, most people will respond to their mobile phones, whether it be SMSs, updates, tweets and so on, in a far more expedient manner or far faster than most other forms, particularly with the volume and sheer breadth of emails that are being distributed in a corporate environment. This is a great way to cut through all of the clutter and get specifically to the point. Okay, so that basically concludes this brief training session. If there's any further questions or information that you'd like in relation to this, all of the information for the production of this, as I said, whether it be WordPress, Tumblr and so on, are contained on the screens, or you can simply Google them. They're quite easy to find. But if you have any further questions or you'd like to communicate, particularly any feedback in relation to this training video, please do let me know. If you'd like further training videos on these subjects or to be included in the distribution list, please visit my website at tony-ridley.com. Put yourself on the subscribers list and you'll get continuous updates of these types of training videos on professional security, social media marketing and so on. Or you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, or you can simply send me an email. I even have a YouTube channel where these videos and a number of others also go to as well. So any further questions, please don't hesitate, reach out and communicate with me. But essentially that brings today's training session to an end. And just to recap, the focus of this particular training session was on crisis and emergency, in particular blogging for business. And we recapped and we talked about the importance of sharing important information for those who need it during a crisis or emergency. Once again, thank you all very much and goodbye.